The Gripen E operates with a new agile architecture system, which allows the aircraft to be upgraded with new tactics and new capabilities seamlessly.
NATO's doorstep. The alliance is holding its largest military exercise in the Arctic since the Cold War.
Indeed, your Gripen fighter jets help patrol the skies over Poland, and your ships contribute to our enhanced military presence in the Baltic Sea.
You won't believe what a single-engine fighter can do. NATO analysts were shocked when a Swedish jet started performing like a stealth superstar. You won't believe this. NATO's top analysts were staring at their screens, confused, shocked, and deeply concerned. A single-engine fighter jet, the Swedish Gripen E, was performing like a multi-billion-dollar stealth aircraft. Its heat signature dropped to levels only stealth jets achieve. Its range exceeded what anyone thought possible for a plane of its size, and its agility almost unreal. Behind this revolution wasn't a flashy defense program or some top-secret government project. It was Rolls-Royce, the same company famous for luxury cars, quietly rewriting the rules of modern fighter jets. And NATO only realized it after the upgrades were already complete. For years, the Gripen E was known as a practical, reliable fighter. Affordable, easy to maintain, and designed for countries with limited defense budgets, it wasn't meant to compete with stealth superstars like the F-35. But beneath that unassuming exterior, a technical revolution was silently taking shape. Swedish engineers recognized that the Gripen E needed a radical optimization of its engine systems, and they turned to Rolls-Royce not to replace the engine entirely, but to redesign what was inside it. This program began in complete secrecy, focusing on airflow channels, thermal distribution layers, and control algorithms. From the outside, nothing looked different, but internally, everything had changed. The first upgrade addressed one of the deadliest weaknesses of every fighter jet: heat signature. Modern IR-guided missiles can track engine heat from miles away, making infrared detection a major vulnerability. Rolls-Royce redesigned the Gripen's thermal routing system, reducing its heat signature to levels far below any single engine aircraft had ever achieved. When NATO analysts measured the readings, they thought their systems were malfunctioning. After recalibration, the numbers still didn't add up. A single-engine fighter was performing like a twin-engine stealth plane. Analysts later admitted in private reports that they had never seen such a drastic IR reduction in a fighter of this size. And that was just the beginning. Rolls-Royce wasn't done. The Gripen E was about to fly farther, faster, and smarter than anyone expected. Next came fuel efficiency and range. By redesigning the internal air pathways, Rolls-Royce enabled the Gripen to use fuel far more efficiently. The result? A lighter aircraft that could fly distances previously requiring two engines. For countries like Canada, where Arctic patrols demand long-range capability, this was a game-changer. Suddenly, small nations had access to operational ranges that were once the exclusive domain of multi-billion-dollar jets. But what made it even more impressive was that the aircraft retained full maneuverability. At long ranges, something many analysts thought was impossible for a single-engine design, then came the digital engine control system. Rolls-Royce developed an adaptive model that allowed the engine to adjust thrust almost instantaneously. Pilots reported acceleration like they had never experienced before, lunging forward in combat simulations before opponents could react. Older NATO interceptors struggled to keep up. These three upgrades, thermal stealth, extended range, and faster thrust response, combined to create not just a better plane, but a fighter with dramatically improved survivability. And all of it was invisible from the outside. NATO's reaction was a mix of disbelief and concern. Multiple members demanded answers, triggering closed-door meetings in Brussels. Sweden offered vague explanations, claiming only internal performance optimizations. The truth? That Rolls-Royce had re-engineered the engine's core, leaked later through internal analysis. Analysts identified unique micro-vibration patterns matching Rolls-Royce's precision engineering. Suddenly, the Gripen E wasn't just affordable. It was a strategic disruptor capable of competing with billion-dollar stealth aircraft, without the cost or complexity. Just when NATO thought they understood it, Rolls-Royce added upgrades that no one saw coming. But the upgrades didn't stop there. Rolls-Royce implemented airflow pressure modulation, allowing stable thrust at extreme altitudes. Pilots could climb higher and stay higher while burning less fuel. Engine noise reduction further disrupted automated drone tracking, and the adaptive thermal smart loop monitored heat in real time, rerouting micro-cooling paths milliseconds before hotspots formed. Older NATO planes required manual management for such threats, while the Gripen could appear and disappear from IR sensors unpredictably, making targeting nearly impossible. In simulations, NATO pilots admitted that even seasoned operators could not predict the aircraft's behavior. It was a cat-and-mouse game where the cat had suddenly disappeared. The geopolitical consequences were staggering. Countries with limited budgets suddenly had access to advanced fighter capabilities. NATO's concern wasn't just technical, it was strategic. If Sweden and Rolls-Royce could collaborate secretly at this level, other nations could do the same, bypassing traditional oversight. American officials privately warned of an unpredictable strategic wildcard, cheap enough for smaller nations, yet powerful enough to threaten. Protected airspace and rapidly scale without Washington's approval. The Gripen E was no longer just a plane. It was a new paradigm in military balance, forcing Western powers to rethink decades of assumptions about air superiority and defense economics. And finally, the most shocking upgrades turned the Gripen E into something almost alive. By the time NATO understood the full scale of the upgrades, Rolls-Royce and Saab had moved on to even more sophisticated systems. Digital harmonization allowed the aircraft to mimic vibration signatures of other planes, confusing radar classification. In some tests, NATO systems misidentified the Gripen as a drone or trainer aircraft before recognizing it as a fighter. Microburst cooling pulses disrupted IR tracking, increasing survivability by up to 40% in simulations. And all of this required no exotic materials or expensive stealth coatings, just smart engineering inside the engine. Pilots began reporting that the aircraft felt alive, as if it was thinking ahead in every maneuver. Sweden's intention wasn't to challenge NATO. The goal was simple: create a fighter with maximum performance, reliability, and independence, without full reliance on American technology. But the result was an aircraft that exposed vulnerabilities in NATO doctrine and redefined what affordable fighters could achieve. Countries that once dismissed the Gripen as too light or too simple now sought upgraded variants, while Sweden carefully restricted access to the most advanced configurations. The Gripen E had become more than a fighter jet. It was a strategic asset capable of shifting regional power balances. Rolls-Royce, operating behind the scenes, had redefined expectations for modern air combat, showing that the future might belong not to the biggest or most expensive, but to the lightest, most clever, and technically invisible aircraft. This is the Gripen E, a single-engine fighter jet with heavyweight consequences, reshaping both technology and strategy in ways few anticipated. For countries with limited budgets, it's a game changer. For NATO, it's a wake-up call. And for the world, it's proof that silent, smart upgrades can shift the balance of power without a single external change. Thank you for watching. If you want deeper insights into stories few dare to tell, hit like and subscribe. Every view supports content that goes beyond headlines and reveals the hidden forces shaping modern defense and technology. Stay tuned, because the story of advanced engineering, secret upgrades, and strategic disruption is only just beginning.